This is the tutorial for Photoshop Lesson 2. We are going to be learning how to crop and straighten and also how to replace a color. Please open the file that is named 02start and it should look like this. This file is meant to represent a scanned photo, and as you can see, it was not placed straight on the scanner. So while we are cropping out the white surrounding the picture, we are also going to straighten the picture so that it will not be at an angle. We're going to need to choose the cropping tool, which is right here in your toolbar. When you choose it, you should see that the options across the top in the option bar change. If you have any numbers in your width and height, for right now we want to clear those out. We don't want to change any of the dimensions of the picture, so if you'll just hit clear a couple of times until all the numbers disappear, that will be good. Alright, then using your cropping tool, we're going to click and drag a rectangle that is roughly around the picture. It's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. When you let go, your screen should do this. You are seeing a rule of thirds guide and also the area of the picture that is to be cropped away is darkened. So this obviously is not perfect. We need to line up our selection box with the picture. So if we hover the mouse around one of the corners, you'll see that it changes to a double-headed curved arrow. So if you click and drag, you can actually turn the selection area so that the angle matches up with your photo. Then you can move the selection area and resize it. And keep doing those three things, turning, moving, resizing, until you get your crop perfectly lined up with the edge of the photo. The goal is to include the entire photo without including any of the extra white stuff around the outside. So when you get your selection looking like this, you can either approve that by hitting the return key or by clicking this check up here at the top of the screen to approve the action. Alright, so now that I've cropped mine, I can see that I've got a little bit of white still remaining at the top. You may have some on yours as well. If I don't like my crop at all, I can hit Command Z to completely undo all of the cropping. So I will crop, turn, align, turn, size, adjust my box a bit. Still got just a little white in there. Okay, I'll approve that crop. There, I have no white. Another thing you could do is if you had done the crop and it still had just a little white appear, you could simply crop it again, just slightly inside of your original crop in order to trim off the rest of the white. I don't need to do that, so I can either hit the escape key to get out of this, or I can hit the cancel symbol right up here next to the check mark. Okay, so that's how I want the image cropped. The second thing we're going to look at in this tutorial is the shadows and highlight adjustment feature. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and then you'll see shadows and highlights down here on the list. Go ahead and choose that. And just playing with this slider, you can see that if you move the slider to the right, it is taking away a higher percentage of the shadow in the photograph. Now you don't want to overdo it or it's not going to look very realistic. Here's no adjustment, and here's about 10. Looks pretty good. Now on the highlights, here's taking out all the highlights. Makes the picture look pretty dark. I'm going to bring this down. Actually, I think I'll bring it just down all the way to 0. That looks pretty good to me. When your picture looks well lit and realistic, nothing too extreme, it should be somewhere around a 10 and 0, maybe 1, 2, 3 adjustment here. You can go ahead and say okay. So that's just another way to adjust the levels in your picture to make it look a little bit better. All right, the next thing is a little bit more creative process. What we're going to do is change the color of an object in our picture. If you've ever looked at a catalog where the same item of clothing is featured in several different colors, or visited a website where you could look at the same car with different paint colors applied, you are probably seeing the result of some color replacement in Photoshop. So what we're going to do is use the rectangle marquee selection tool. We're going to draw a selection area around this yellow tulip. Be sure that you do this exact one. It works best for this demonstration. It's okay that there is some green in the selection area. That's not going to be a problem. All right, once we have that yellow flower selected, we'll go to Image, Adjustments, Replace Color. When this dialog box opens, move it out of the way so you can see your picture. Using the eyedropper, the first one, we're going to click on the yellow flower. This should make some white areas representing the flower appear in your dialog box. Switch to the eyedropper that has the plus sign next to it and click around in all the different shades of yellow on your flower. Do not click in the green. The goal here is to get the entire area of the flower to appear in this box without any of the black areas. Or, I'm sorry, any of the green areas. Okay, so once you accomplish that, we're going to look at the dialog box here. This box, color, is showing us what color our selected area is now. Down here in the second part of the dialog box where it says replacement, that's where we're going to put the new color. So we can adjust the hue slider. You can also adjust saturation or lightness. And as you play with these, the goal that I want you to have is that I want you to make this tulip the same red as these other tulips in the picture so that it is believably red, so that it looks as though it was just another red tulip that got photographed. Usually I don't do much adjustment here with saturation or lightness. It's mostly hue, a little bit of saturation, maybe to darken the red just a bit. I think that looks pretty natural, so I'll go ahead and say okay. To get rid of the marching ants, I will hit Command D, and with my finished work, I will go ahead and take a screenshot, Command Shift 3, and there it is. I am done with lesson 2.